Here, Charlie.
Go on.
Today I saw an advert that said radio for sale, stuck on full volume for £1. I thought, I can't turn that down. What do you think of that?
Yeah, pretty good. I like that one.
I don't want to do this anymore. My radio's broke. My eggs are broke. Camping on your own, I honestly think that is something that everybody should do at least once in their life. I think it's just getting outside, getting active.
Technical healing.
So on this week's podcast, we welcome Kev Brady, paddleboard extraordinaire, extreme human, mountaineer, but most of all, he never wears his shoes. Will and I chat to Kev about his paddleboarding business, his extreme adventures, and swimming with crocodiles. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hello and welcome, Kev Brady. Thanks for joining us, Kev.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
So where are you in the world at the moment?
I am in a tiny little town in the western Norway called Voss. I'm looking out the window and there's like a 1,500 meter mountain, and me and the girlfriend we go skiing on it every day, which is really nice. Really nice. We feel like we're in a little haven from COVID out here. There's not really any COVID cases around here. You don't see anyone walk around in masks. Norway's doing pretty good in general. So yeah, I feel like I've been really lucky with where we've landed during this time.
Are you working? Doing the
Well, that was the plan. But my flight was delayed 2 days past the Brexit deadline, so they wouldn't give me a visa. I was meant to land here just before December the 31st, and I landed here on the 2nd of January because my flight was delayed, and that was it. They just won't give me a visa.
So you're stuck in Norway.
I'm stuck in Norway without a job. So I've started teaching English online as a website called Cambly, and yeah, so for a few hours every day, I'll just go online and I get these random people calling me who want to practice their English. There's a lot of blokes from Saudi Arabia, kids from Vietnam, and they just call up for a chat, and you got to correct them when their English goes wrong.
So you're teaching.
It's quite a cushy little number.
You're teaching Gloucestershire as a foreign language, are you?
Yeah, I ensure that they pronounce banana as banana and not banana, and grass instead of grass. Getting all those specifics right.
Good.
Cool. So I'll just move on with a couple of questions we've got, Kev. I mean, obviously for the listeners themselves, if you could just sort of tell us about the journey your career has taken and sort of to get you to where you are now, really, to be honest. Just give us a bit of an insight on what you've been up to.
Yes.
And how your career's sort of taken you to where you are.
It's funny how I've got to this point now. It was never planned. It just kind of happened. So, for the last couple of years, during the winter time, I work as a river guide in Sri Lanka, taking people on multi-day trips, hammock camping, some ocean tours, stuff like that. And then in the summertime, I kind of manage remotely my paddleboarding business back in Gloucester, while I work as an expedition leader, taking groups of 12 people into the fjords of Western Norway. We do 5 and 8 day expeditions for a company called Sup Norway. Yeah, it just kind of really organically happened. I'd never even heard of a paddleboard until about 6 years ago. I was swimming the River Severn. Well, I was planning to swim the River Severn, and I eventually was the first person to have swam the River Severn from source to sea. And I was looking for some advice on just swimming tips and stuff for my support crew. And I spoke to a guy called Dave Cornthwaite, he's a pretty famous guy in the adventuring world. Done some awesome expeditions, and I know he'd done a marathon swim in America down the Missouri and the Mississippi River. So I ended up speaking to him, and I was chatting to him about my support crew, and he was just like, mate, he was like, get your support crew on stand-up paddleboard. He was like, if you ever get into trouble, they could just drag you on, or you could hang on if you need to. You can carry all your gear on them. They're just awesome bits of kit. So that was when I got in contact with a company called Red Paddle Co., and they loved the idea, and we're like, yeah, we'll give you 4 boards for your support crew. And I only had 2 people in my sport team, so we had these 2 spare boards. So as I was swimming down the river and I was getting closer and closer to Gloucester, we had these 2 spare boards, and people just wanted to come out and join me while I was swimming along and have a go. And like I'd be swimming along for like an hour or so, and we'd have this, sometimes random people coming on these paddleboards and they didn't know what to do. And so I'd bob up and tread water for a minute and go, come on, try and stand up. And then they'd stand up, fall in. I'd have a little bit of a giggle, and then I'd just carry on swimming for another hour or so. So when I finished swimming the 7, I was looking for something to do. Use those paddleboards, and I went out for the whole winter and just fell in love with the sport. Ended up doing my qualification the following spring. Went and got a loan, bought a load of boards, and set up a paddleboard school in Gloucester. And then it's just kind of organically happened from there. I mean, after that, as soon as winter was hitting, after my first summer of paddleboarding, I was like, no, nobody's going to want to go paddleboarding through the winter. So I was looking for a little escape, and that's when Sri Lanka got involved. So I went out to Sri Lanka and paddleboarded their longest river from source to sea. And then my original plan was to circumnavigate the whole island. I thought it'd take about 3 or 4 months, but that was like off-bound. I didn't find out until I got there because my total lack of preparation. But the whole of the East Coast at that time of year was totally off-bound. It was just the wrong season. I spoke to some sailors and they were like, it would just be suicide. The wind and the swell and the waves, just don't go there. So I was like, oh shit. So I thought, I paddled the longest river source to sea, and then like it was going to be perfect because obviously where the river comes out into the ocean, I just thought I'd just carry on paddling all the way around the island, but I couldn't do that. So I ended up getting a bus to the south coast where it was like the dry season, and it was the seas were generally pretty calm, and I thought I'll see how far around the coast I can get. And I paddled for about 10 days along the south coast, and it was just bloody boring. It was so boring. It's just like in ocean paddling, there's just nothing out there. Nothing. It's just blue sky. I mean, it sounds nice. It's blue water, blue sky. But when it's 30 degrees and I'm just paddling for like 6 hours a day or whatever, it was just I mean, coming into land and launching in the morning and camping on beach and stuff was really, really nice. But I just missed the river. I love going down rivers, going down twists and turns, seeing loads of animals, not knowing what's around the corner. Meeting loads of people, fishermen. So I missed that. So a mate of mine came to join me after about 10 days of ocean paddling because he just wanted to paddle with me. And I said to him, I was like, mate, this is so boring. I don't want your 2 weeks of holiday to be this. This is crap. So where I finished paddling, I found this river in Sri Lanka called the Gin, and I went and met him about 100 kilometers up this river, and we spent a week paddling down this river, and it was awesome, absolutely awesome. And that is where I take people paddleboarding now in Sri Lanka. I set up a little business out there with some Australian expats, and mapped out like a section of that river. Went back there the following season and like honed it down, found some camping spots and all the best rapids to take people on. Yeah, and that's what I do now. And so that was how SUP Gloucester and the Sri Lanka thing got set up. And then a couple of years ago, the guy who runs SUP Norway had seen what I'd set up with SUP Gloucester and a couple of things that I'd done. And offered me the position as expedition leader of SUP Norway. So it's really random how I wound up doing what I'm doing now. But yeah, it's working out all right so far.
So you've had some pretty amazing achievements. First person to swim the River Severn, paddled the Mississippi River. What would you consider to be your proudest achievement?
Mississippi. Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt, the Mississippi. Looking back on it now, it's funny. I wrote a little post about it the other day because it was 7 years since I did that, and I look back on it now and I just didn't have a clue what I was doing. Just there was no physical preparation. There was no, apart from just buying a map and looking at the map, there was no planning. It just totally winged it. And as a result, I made it a lot harder for myself than it needed to be. I wasn't prepared for how cold it was going to be. There was a thing called I don't know if you heard about it 7 years ago. It went right across the middle of America, something called the Polar Vortex. Remember hearing about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was coming across America, and it was basically like chasing me down the river. So there were just these freakishly cold temperatures going across the whole country, and because I'd meet a lot of people on the river, and then I'd stay in contact with them, and like 2 weeks after I left them, they'd be sending me messages saying the river's just totally frozen over here. You need to get moving.
Were you ever at the point that you might have given up?
Yeah, only once. It was a pretty cold day, and I had to do this really long portage. A bit like because I couldn't paddle through, I had to carry all my kit around to a point where I could paddle. And I was dragging my canoe through all this snow, and it was just all really awkward, and I was just feeling crap, and this snow was pelting down. And then I snapped the aerial on my radio, which was like my only source of entertainment. And then I can't remember, a couple of other things happened. And then just as I was trying to launch my canoe in, I fell on one of my bags, and I opened it up, and I'd broken all the eggs that I bought, and they'd all seeped through. And I sat there in my canoe, and I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. My radio's broke, my eggs are broke, I'm cold, I'm knackered. But yeah, but at that point, I just decided to paddle really hard, and got my canoe in, and was just absolutely pelting it through this snow. Yeah, and it was literally I don't know, 10 minutes of hard paddling. After that, I felt absolutely fine.
It's over 2,000 miles long, isn't it? Mississippi.
2.5, yeah. It's nearly 2,500 miles long. Yeah.
How long did it take you, Kev?
It was nearly 5 months. It was 146 days, I think.
And that was just sort of paddling each day and then camping at night and moving on. Yeah,
pretty much wild camping the whole way. Although there's this whole community of people down the river, the Mississippi River, called they call themselves the River Angels, and a lot of people don't even know they're included in this. But they a lot of them stay in contact with each other for paddlers going down the river, and they pass over contact details and stuff. And I had a lot of people send me messages saying, hi, when you get to this point in the river, here's my number, give me a call, I'll come and pick you up, take you back to my house, you can have a shower, a bed for the night, we'll cook you a meal, and then I'll drop you back in the river in the morning. Yeah, and that happened,
awesome, isn't it? Yeah.
That happened dozens of times.
Wow.
Nice. That must have been a nice bit of respite.
Yeah, and it's funny, the people who don't paddle, they try and feed you they're like, oh God, you must be really hungry, and they'll feed you full of pasta and rice and all stuff that. You basically, I've just been eating noodles and rice, it's the last thing I wanted. But every now and then you'd stay with someone who knew exactly what you were going through, and they just give you a bowl of salad and leave you alone. They'd be like, look, I know you need your space, there's your bed, there's your room, I'm over there, if you want anything, come and get me, eat your salad. And it was just oh yeah, exactly what I need.
Really? Is that what you need, is it?
Yeah, a big bowl of salad.
No way.
Because you don't really get any fresh fruit and veg.
No, I suppose.
Yeah, because you basically just load up to be prepared not to go to another shop for a week. So it was I was eating a lot of nuts. Yeah, I used to eat carrots because carrots keep really well. So it was just carrots, tuna, noodles, and then nuts in the morning and some bread. Yeah.
Madness.
Kev, probably one of the crappiest questions we ask here now, mate. But we ask everyone that comes on the podcast. I mean, you're a man of the world, and you've seen a lot of places and faces. What has to be probably one of the funniest moments, or a funny story of some sort?
When I first went to Sri Lanka, I paddled down the Mahaweli River, and I was on my own, and the last week or so on the river, I was coming across a lot of crocodiles. And sometimes these crocodiles were, 11, 12, 13 feet long. And they'd come crashing into the river and just scare the living crap out of there. And like, I'm not an idiot. I did a lot of research on crocodiles, and I really, really didn't think that they'd come anywhere near my board. They're ambush hunters. They don't eat very often. They've got an abundance of small prey. And I just didn't think that a 6-foot bloke on a 13-foot paddleboard going down the middle of the river. And that's the other thing. They mostly hunt at night. They ambush things on the bank. I just didn't think that I would be, considered prey. So I was pretty confident that I wasn't going to get attacked. But they're still big, and they're mean looking.
Scary.
And they make a lot of noise. But I blogged about it and all that jazz, and a few mates of mine, they really wanted to come and experience that. So I think it was the following year, it might have been the year after that, 2 mates of mine came out and we decided to paddle the Sri Lanka's second longest river, and it was the same deal. There was crocodiles, elephants, and suddenly, like, what was so scary, like, on that first trip, was the funniest thing on earth. Us coming across a crocodile. And my one mate, Dan, he's a strong paddler, and basically it's the person at the front who gets to have the crocodile experience, because as soon as they see you coming, they're gone, and they're gone to the bottom of the river. And then, so if you're paddling at the back, you're just not going to see one. So he was constantly at the front, and he just wanted to get up close and personal with these crocodiles. And we come to like a narrow section of this river, and he disappeared around the corner. And then me and Stu at the back, we paddled around the corner, and he sat up on a branch, like with his board, like he's still attached to his board, and his board's below him, and he sat up on his branch, and he was just like, "This ain't funny anymore, lads. This ain't funny anymore." He was just like, he said this like 15-foot crocodile right next to him just slithered into the water and sunk underneath, and he was just like, "I don't want to go at the front anymore. I don't want to go at the front anymore." It was really like really apt with this, because I thought it was one of those things that was really stressful and really scary, and just because there was a couple of your mates involved, it was just the funniest thing on earth.
So you've been pretty much all over the world by now. What is your favourite place in Bristol or Gloucester, if you want?
If I want. Yeah, I grew up in Gloucester. I went to uni in Bristol, but yeah, cities aren't really my thing. So yeah, Gloucester, I'd say there's a couple of places in Gloucester. One is Robbinswood Hill. Have you ever been to Gloucester?
Been, but don't know it well, mate.
Is that the cheese rolling hill?
No, that's Cooper's Hill. But Robbinswood, I grew up on the foot of Robbinswood Hill, and you get to the top and you've got a total panoramic view over the whole of Gloucester. So I used to play up there as a kid, and I still go up whenever I'm at home now. I still go up there, and I take my sister's kids up there. I'll go for a run and stuff. And I love that spot. But the other place is it's the River Severn. Like, I've always, for the last 5 years, I've been taking people out, paddled, did a lot of camping trips on the River Severn myself. And then also the past few years, I've gotten into surfing the Bore. Not only is it like you've got to really know the river and really know the different spots, and the wave behaves differently at different spots. Sometimes it can rear up and be a load of whitewash, and then it can be a small little green wave, and really like enhance my love for the river and the community of people as well. There's just this small group of probably 20 or 30 blokes that are out there, wind, rain, shine. I'm watching videos of them now, and they're breaking through ice to get out into the river to go surfing this Bore. And yeah, it's just like a real solid group of blokes in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. So yes, River Severn, I'd say. Yeah.
Brilliant. So quite prevalent at the moment, Kev. Is obviously it's what our podcast is sort of aimed towards, really, is the sort of whole mental health aspect. Obviously, being a man that's been out in many extremes and probably have an abundance of inner resilience, what is your sort of approach to the sort of whole mental health thing, and how do you sort of deal with these situations that you're in, and how do you get over them? I mean, you talked about the Mississippi and having days where you nearly broke down and gave up, and how do you overcome that, and what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been lucky enough not to experience like proper depression. I know a few people that have, and yeah, when you speak to somebody who have, you actually realize, you haven't. But yeah, obviously I've been through some tough times. The Mississippi in particular, I developed little coping mechanisms for myself. One of them was I used to like verbalize something to myself, just saying that everything's temporary. It didn't matter how bad the weather was or whatever was going on. It wasn't going to last. So I just had to keep paddling, and this whatever situation I was in, it was going to change. Yeah, what other coping mechanisms were there? I used to write a lot. I found that quite a cathartic process to go through, is just getting everything down on paper. Singing, I used to sing my ass off, like whenever I remember once I was nearly crying, and then something came on the radio, and I started singing as loud as I could. And yeah,
Therapeutic, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really therapeutic.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, just getting outside and going camping usually pushes. I call it pushing the reset button. If ever I'm feeling a bit edgy and a bit down, I'm pretty confident if I can just go out camping just for one night, and I feel a hell of a lot better coming back.
Yeah, I completely get where you're coming from. It's just a nice sort of natural reset, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's really, really simple. Like when you go out go out camping, and especially when you're traveling under your own steam, there's just four things that encompass your whole existence, and it overrides absolutely everything else. And it's you wake up in the morning and you're like, right, how am I going to get from A to B? What's the weather doing? What am I eating and drinking? And then where am I sleeping? And those like four really basic needs, that takes up your whole day. That's the everything that takes up all of your thought process throughout the whole day. So yeah, it's a really, really good escape.
It's nice, mate. I think it sort of exposes a bit of vulnerability, doesn't it? But at the same time, like you said, it's those things that build your day.
Yeah.
All that white noise of like the sort of day and age that we live in at the moment. It's not even there, is it? All the crap that you have to deal with every day, and it's gone. Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what you're going through. As soon as you chuck yourself into the great outdoors, then you're really under the cosh, and you just can't wait to get from A to B. And then as soon as you get to B, you're like, right, how am I going to make a fire? How am I going to cook my food? How am I going to stay warm? And then by the time you actually get dry and into your sleeping bag, you're so knackered and you're so happy, you just
out like a light.
Fall into a really good sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's probably just a great perspective builder, and like you said, you got your boss on the phone to you, or trouble at home, but then when you're out swimming with Crocs, that's all irrelevant, really, isn't it? So.
And also on top of all that, at the end of it, when you finally get home, you can look back on it, and you've got that sense of achievement. And even when you do things, I mean, if you do things with other people, you build deeper bonds with them. Friendships get better. But even if you do things on your own, that's the beauty of social media now. You can chuck it online and got a load of people telling you how crazy you are or how amazing it is, and sometimes that helps.
Absolutely, mate.
So, Kev, what do you consider to be the most important aspect of well-being?
It's getting outside. It's getting outside and getting active. I'm sure I'm not I'm sure I'm not the first. No, go on.
You obviously, I've spent a bit of time with you. You used to always try and get me to go camping on my own somewhere.
Yeah.
Another thing I remember, you couldn't wait to get your socks off, no matter where you were. You said there was something in it. I can't remember what it is about having bare feet on the ground.
It's called earthing. So it's the hippie concept of soaking up the earth's energy, and it's really funny. Like since I've been away, and it's been like most of the time I've been here, it's been about -15. And like even to start the car in the morning, I have to get wrapped up just to go out into the car, get the car started, and then leave it running for 10 minutes. And then a few days ago, it warmed up to like -2 or something, and I went out and started the car, and I had bare feet on, wasn't wearing bare feet.
Yeah,
But I wear on my bare feet, and I went outside and I walked in the snow, and I was just like, oh, this is really bloody nice. But then that came up on somebody's post the other day actually about that whole the concept of everything. I don't know how scientifically or medically true it is about soaking energy up, but yeah, it is nice to just go out there and just feel the mud or the snow or whatever in between your toes. It's nice. But yeah, camping on your own, I honestly think that is something that everybody should do at least once in their life, is go camping on your own.
Into my next question, Kev, really. It might, you might have answered this already, but if you could you give us sort of one piece of advice that might help anyone that could be struggling with sort of their mental health?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, struggling with mental health, it's a really complex issue, isn't it? And it depends on whatever people's life situation, stuff like that. But I think it's just getting outside, getting active, and camping. Yeah. So, and I think specifically with those things is traveling under your own steam, going from point A to point B, and camping and doing that under your own steam, whether it be running or walking or cycling or paddling or whatever you want to do, and go and do a night's wild camping on your own and see how you feel. It's not going to fix problems. I know that there's no quick fix, but it will definitely distract you for however long you go out for.
Well, no, well, night out then.
You two should go camping.
He's using the excuse that Inga won't let him, apparently.
I can see you two kind of look like those two guys from Brokeback Mountain, actually.
That's not the first time we've heard that, mate, either.
Yeah, I think if I did go off camping on my own, Inga would think something funny's going on.
And she'd be right.
All right, well, that's been brilliant, Kev. Thank you very much for taking time out of your amazing days that you live to
you're a legend.
chat to us.
No way. No, thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, mate. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, shoot me a photo when you two go camping. I want to see that.
All right. Cheers, Kev. We hope that you've enjoyed this episode of Technical Healing. Please follow us on Instagram and like our Facebook page. Just search Technical Healing in both of those. Also, get in contact if you feel that you're struggling, if you need advice. We can try and point you in the right direction. Also, contact us if you have questions you'd like us to answer on a podcast, themes you'd like us to cover, or ideas on future guests. We'd greatly appreciate any input. Thank you and have a great week.